Welcome back, everyone, to another explainer. Today, we are taking a journey to a truly awe-inspiring location, a place that serves as just this massive natural reservoir of biodiversity. I want you to picture it. Majestic, snow-capped mountains, lush alpine meadows, and the crystal-clear rivers of the Gurez Valley, nestled deep within the Kashmir Himalayas. This vibrant landscape, which is dotted with these gorgeous traditional wooden villages and golden sunrises, isn't just beautiful to look at. It's literally a living, breathing pharmacy. And it's one that has sustained local communities for centuries. Okay, let's dive into this, because that is the exact question driving the research we're unpacking today. For generations, the indigenous communities of the Gurez Valley have relied entirely on the natural world around them to treat ailments, promote vitality, and honestly just survive in a really rugged, demanding environment. But what exactly are these centuries-old indigenous medicinal secrets waiting to be uncovered? And maybe more importantly, how do we capture this fragile knowledge before it's lost to time forever?
Let's start with Section 1, Documenting Ancient Healing Wisdom.
So, to really understand this work, we need to talk about ethnobotany. Imagine researchers trekking through remote, lush valleys and ancient wooden villages, working side by side with local shepherds and traditional healers. It's a painstaking, almost microscopic focus on the very ground we walk on. Basically, ethnobotany is the scientific study of the traditional knowledge and customs of a people concerning plants and their uses. It's the absolute crucial link between these fragile, high-altitude ecosystems and human health. By studying this, we're not just cataloging plants, we are actively honoring the local elders who have acted as the true safeguards of this heritage for centuries. And this brilliantly illustrates what it actually takes on the ground. This requires rigorous teamwork. Researchers aren't out there just, picking wildflowers. They're trekking into highly remote valleys, documenting incredibly rare species with macro-botanical photography and recording precise GPS locations so these habitats can actually be monitored. But the absolute heart of this work, it's the interaction with local elders. The science literally means nothing without the oral history and the traditional wisdom being respectfully shared by the communities themselves. Moving on to Section 2, 10 Himalayan medicinal plants. So what exactly are they finding out there in those alpine meadows? Well, we've documented 10 remarkable medicinal plants that make up a rich botanical pharmacy growing naturally right in the Gurez Valley. We're looking at aconitus, Himalayan mayapple, pashanbed, wormwood, stinging nettle, wild thyme, wild mint, dandelion, wild rose, and broadleaf plantain. Now, some of those might sound familiar to you, right? While others are incredibly rare and highly specific to high-altitude environments. Let's break down exactly what these plants do and why they're so highly valued by both traditional healers and modern science. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how directly these plants target specific, everyday human ailments. Take Addis, for example. It's heavily valued traditionally for managing fevers and digestive issues. Then there's the Himalayan mayapple, which is a remarkably rare herb. Not only is it used for skin ailments traditionally, but get this, it actually contains compounds that are super important in modern medicine today. Then you have pashanbed, which is heavily relied upon to support kidney health and manage urinary stones. Wormwood is an ancient go-to remedy for intestinal health. And finally, stinging nettle. It's rich in nutrients and traditionally utilized for joint health, anemia, and just overall vitality. It's incredible how specialized these natural treatments really are. Moving on to the next 5 plants, we see a bit of a shift. We're moving from internal organ health to respiratory wellness and, basically, everyday first aid. Wild thyme is a highly aromatic herb, traditionally used for respiratory wellness. So think coughs, colds, and sore throats. Wild mint is the absolute go-to for relieving nausea and stomach discomfort. Then we have the dandelion, traditionally used to support healthy liver function. Wild rose provides these antioxidant-rich fruits that are a massive boost for traditional immunity support. And finally, broadleaf plantain. This one is traditionally applied directly to minor cuts, wounds, and insect bites because of its immediate soothing properties. Pretty handy, right? Let's look at Section 3, Bridging Tradition and Science. The wealth of knowledge we just covered is vast, truly vast, but it is largely oral, which makes it incredibly vulnerable to being lost. That's exactly why all these plants, their habitats, scientific names, local names, and conservation statuses have been brilliantly compiled into a permanent, accessible record. It's a book called Ethnobotanical Flora of Gurez Bandipora. We absolutely have to highlight the authors here, Mr. Tawhid Parvez Bhatt and Dr. Ishrat Parvez, who proudly compiled this vital resource. Against that magnificent sunlit backdrop of the Gurez Valley, they've created something that honors the past while totally informing the future. Let's move to Manatu and see how this builds a perfectly unified approach to conservation. On one hand, you have traditional knowledge, the indigenous wisdom, the cultural heritage, and the invaluable insights of local elders. On the other, you've got modern science, bringing rigorous botanical descriptions, high-quality photography, GPS mapping, and tracking conservation status. It's a meticulously constructed bridge, a bridge between the generations that live directly off the land and the modern scientists working so hard to protect it today.
And that brings us to Section 4, Protecting Our Ecological Future.
To truly protect this heritage, we've got to zoom out to the macro level. So, the crucial point is this. The medicinal knowledge we've explored today is only as safe as the ecosystem that sustains it. We absolutely need biodiversity conservation to keep these rare species alive. We need sustainable harvesting so local healers and communities can utilize these plants without just depleting them. We need ecological restoration for areas that have already been damaged. And, for sure, we need climate resilience, because as the climate shifts, fragile high-altitude environments, like the Himalayas, are almost always the very first to suffer.
I want to leave you with this really powerful closing message drawn directly from this incredible work. It beautifully summarizes their whole mission. A scientific journey into the healing plants, traditional wisdom, and extraordinary biodiversity of the Himalayas, preserving nature, protecting traditional knowledge, inspiring future generations. It's profound, right? It really makes you wonder, as we look toward modern pharmaceutical advancements, how many more life-changing healing secrets are still quietly waiting out there in those remote, sun-drenched alpine meadows? And honestly, what are we individually willing to do to ensure they survive? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.